All right, we are back for another Friday Financial Wrap-Up with Mr. Michael Zuber. How are you, Michael?
Yeah, I'm doing awesome. I look forward to these so much because it's the last thing I do before I take a couple of days off. Before people know I'm going on a marathon at the end of the year. So today's my long run. So I look forward to this, put it to bed, and then go get my running shoes on. And I think today's 8 miles. I think we're doing 8 miles today.
8 miles. That is impressive. I love it. I love it. 8 miles in the cool San Francisco Bay Area, not Vegas yet,
Yeah.
right?
No, if we were in Vegas, it'd be running on a treadmill. But no, I will run outside today. Yes.
I love it. I love it. I want to just say that I am excited for this show. This is for July the 19th, 2024. But I want to give a shout out to my friend James. He sent us a box of Elixir shots. This is not a paid promotion. Elixirshots.com, elixirshots.com. He's a fan of the show. He's a fan of you, Michael. And I want to say I was feeling a little under the weather this last week, and he sent me these shots. And I got to say, they're awesome. They boost your immune system, or at least,
Nice.
that I'm feeling. That's how I feel. So anyway, thank you, James, for reaching out and taking care of me. So thank you for that.
Nice work,
Um,
James. Taking care of your boy. That's good.
I love it. I love it. Let's get right into the show. Man, what a wild week. We have to talk about the Trump assassination attempt specifically. I mean, very, very wild. What are your thoughts and your takes as it relates to the economy, the election, or just your general thoughts about what's going on in this country right now?
You know, my hope is it becomes one of those events that actually, which is all kinds of horrible. You can't undeny that. But it may, in hindsight, prove to be a rallying point. We were headed down what I consider a very toxic path where we were increasingly getting separated. It was very much becoming us versus them. I blame the media. I blame the media for that just constant drumbeat of, both. And to be clear, the left and the right were both doing it. They were both calling the other side evil,
Yeah.
this, that, the other thing. And it is my hope that that nearly because that it. I mean, if you flip the script and it goes the other way, I could not imagine what happened the last week. I don't want to imagine. It it it's horrible to think about. But thankfully it missed. Thankfully he's okay. We do need to realize that there was an unfortunate passing at the event. I believe his first name is Corey. Um, a father protecting his family, lost his life. That's just by going to a political rally. That shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
Um, but again, when you think about the economy, it is my hope that it's like a pressure cooker. If you've ever cooked with a pressure cooker,
Yeah.
my hope is both sides go, wow, we did that. We need to debate issues, not call each other horrible names. We we need to be better. We need to we need ballot boxes, not bullets.
Yeah.
So I am so thankful it missed. I, I I can't even fathom what would have happened the last week if it didn't. I mean, it's frightening to think about in kind of this alternate universe, thing. It's you know, but again, I'll go back to where I started. I hope we just release pressure from the pressure cooker. The next 4 months are less toxic. We have real debates. We talk about real policy, and um, I hope policies and the ballot box rule the day. That's what I hope happens.
Agreed. Agreed. I really hope that the media shifts gears and that we can get more, locked into what's really going on in terms of what's important for the people of this country, what the real issues are versus all this, mudslinging and all of that. I couldn't agree with you more. Let's continue. Let's talk about rent control. I know, again, we live in crazy California. We both operate in California. What happened with rent control this week, and what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, so the next two topics, just so we don't get accused of being left and right, we're going to talk about two policies, one from the left, one from the right, one from Biden, one from Trump, that will have economic impact. We're going to talk about rent control and tariffs. We're going to hit both sides. Rent control first. Rent control is one of those things that, frankly, socialists, communists, around the world have adopted. And in fact, I don't remember his name, but there's a socialist economist who basically said rent control is the most efficient way to destroy a city other than bombing it. We have historical records of showing rent control being a disaster. It feels good in the moment, but it leads to bad things. It's not the right choice. But rent control is by votes. Last election, there was a promise to cancel student debt. That was obviously ruled unconstitutional. That was buying votes. This time, we're buying votes with rent control. It's just another political thing that likely doesn't have Congress support, that likely goes nowhere. But it could be it could be an issue where it buys votes. I think rent control is, yeah, it's just not a good idea, and all economists, who studied the idea agree.
Yeah, and I would, again, just living obviously and operating in California with rent control specifically, even I operate in some of the tougher markets,
Yeah,
Richmond,
you do.
California, Oakland, California, San Francisco. And I can
I
say
I would not personally touch those cities. That's not
right. We have state rent control now, but then we have overlays within the city. The one thing that is absolutely true, though, when they look at specifically here in California on rent control, is that cities that have adopted these overlays of rent control, they're losing rental units
Of course they are.
because owners are pulling out. It actually makes it tougher for renters and tenants because owners opt out and say, I'm not going to rent under these guidelines. I'll just sell my unit. I'll get out of the business. And of
Mhm.
course, what happens? Less units are available. So not a
It
good
is
thing.
it is predictable. It's 100% predictable. And the facts are the facts. You can't deny it.
Can't deny it. So let's keep going though. Let's talk about the tariffs. Talk about the
Yeah.
other side. What do you see on tariffs and what are your thoughts?
Yeah. I want people to realize, I'm an economics channel, so I'm going to talk about both sides, good or bad. Tariffs, again, as I understand the proposal from Trump today, he's going to put something like a 60% tariff on Chinese goods, specifically looking to, impact that. I have also heard that there may be a 10% tariff on all things imports coming to the US from all countries. So I think there's a couple of things you need to understand about tariffs from an economic perspective. First off, if these go into force, you have to realize that these countries will reciprocate. This is not a one-way street. If we put, tariffs on Chinese goods, they'll put tariffs on US goods. Same with France and Germany and Australia. It becomes a very much tit for tat. So realize, while it might feel good to put tariffs on imports, realize that our exporters will be hit as well. Second, um, frankly, if you're going to adopt tariffs in any meaningful way across multiple industries, you had better be working with the Fed, because what that's going to do is that's going to take inflation and it will not allow us to get to 2%. Inflation is a tax. It is inflationary. Now, in the short term, maybe we take the target from 2% to 3.5%. Maybe, I don't know, but you're going to have to do something. The longer term advantage is we will be making more stuff in the US, right? But that's a long plan. It takes a long time to produce manufacturing goods. I am of the opinion that we shouldn't just blanketly put tariffs on everything. I think that hurts the US consumer, at least in the short term. It may work out in the long term, but it hurts in the short term. I would fully, fully support adding tariffs to things that we consider national security. One of the things that we learned during the pandemic is a lot of our pharmaceuticals, a lot of the ingredients comes from countries that don't like us. That is frankly stupid.
Yep.
That is frankly dumb. So I fully support slapping monstrous tariffs on things that we deem national security. What that does is that incents US manufacturing. It's like, hey, you take this widget, which we now consider national security, that so and so country produces for $100. We push that to $500. But hey, in the US, we can create that widget for $250. We will instantly produce manufacturing of said widget. Instantly meaning a year or 18 months, because it just takes that long to spin up plants.
Yep.
But we will very quickly, within this presidential term, which is 4 years, we will our national security will be protected if we do
Yep.
that. So I would treat tariffs as a scalpel, not a bazooka.
Yeah.
Today, near as I can tell, it's positioned as a bazooka, which may not be the right answer.
Yeah, the scale of it, right? Big versus just gigantic and such a huge overcorrection. So, yeah, it's great to be inside of the mind of Michael Zuber. So things we don't think about, right? All of the breakdown of that, you just don't think about how that can be inflationary or even in the short term really, add more cost to a household, to a US household.
Absolutely. Oh, for sure.
Yeah, so crazy. Let's keep going. Let's talk about transactions. What did you see this week in transactions, and what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I just want to get it on record so I have receipts later. Last year we produced a bottom of 3.88 million existing home sales. We
Yep.
actually get an existing home sales print next week. I fear one of the next 3 months will break that bottom. The good news is that will be the bottom. But dude, transaction this second half with the election, with the world stage, with all this stuff going on, I think it's going to be pretty slow. And I think transactions will take it on the teeth.
Interesting. Very interesting. You said that last week. We talked about it. I feel like the last couple of weeks your trend is that the next, we're in the middle of July, right? So the middle of July, that you felt like between now and the end of the year, it was going to be really, really tough for the
Yep.
real estate, realtors, that industry on resale housing. And so you still see
Absolutely.
that, that's consistent.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Well, let's talk about mortgage rates. 30-year fix. What do you see happening?
Yeah, dude, mortgage rates this week and last week took a big step down. I think there's rough and tough 6.8 something. They're below 7. Earlier in the year that would have been enough to spark demand. I don't think it is in the second half. I think everybody's just like, "Hey, too hard, too scary. I don't want to make that financial commitment, so we're going to step back." But yeah, rates are sub 7.
Yeah, very interesting. It was noticeable. It's very noticeable. Do you think we trend down to? Could we be at, as an example? Let me throw you a couple of curveballs here. Could we be at 6.5, 6.375? Could we be somewhere in the 6.3, 6.4, 6.5 range by September, October? Do you see it trending down like that? Is that?
Yeah, I'll say this. There's a lot of people that think we're gonna have some rate cuts in September, and if we do, yeah, we could be at 6.5. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think that 30 basis points is enough to jumpstart the market and create another, maybe not a frenzy, but enough to jumpstart the market and pull
Yeah,
out of
I
that
think
bottom?
I think 6.5 is gonna feel really, really good in January.
You think it's
I think there's
okay?
enough crap going on right now that people just go, "Nope, too hard, too hard."
Interesting. Yeah. The market is weird for sure. Days on market. We're seeing all those trends, everything you've been talking about, we've been talking about on this channel. Let's keep going. So let's talk about September rate cut. A lot of talk about what the Fed's going to do and, 100% certainty, all the
Yeah.
things, all the Fed watch. What do you see? What does Michael Zuber see for this?
I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, the Fed Watch tool is calling a 100% chance of a September rate cut. And oh, by the way, there's a lot of big banks that are going not only September rate cut, but a 50 basis points September rate cut.
Aggressive.
Aggressive rate cut. I am standing on an island, all by myself.
I'm with you.
I'm gonna. Thank you. I'm gonna stick with November.
Okay.
Again, you got to think about this, right? The market this week, when they first priced in 100 basis point cuts like Monday, Tuesday, took off. I think the Dow or somebody was up 700 points.
Yeah.
I think Powell looks at that and goes, animal spirits. I'm not going to let the market tell me what I'm going to do. I always have thought and have said for over a year, the Fed and Powell is going to go one meeting longer than he should.
Right.
And I'm sticking to it. I don't think he does. But again, I'm wrong. I will wear the swing and a miss t-shirt, if I'm wrong about September, but if I'm right, you better believe I'm going to wear that nailed it shirt. So we'll see what happens.
It's very interesting in that, again, everybody thinks it's so certain, but I have to, only just because we've been doing the show for more than 2 years, like it's a part of his legacy.
Yeah.
It can really screw up things because it can jumpstart inflation and set us back into a little
Exactly.
wildfire. So
Absolutely. Yeah. You're
so
right.
spot on. I'm gonna stick with you, man. I'm on that island with you.
We're
I'm even
treading water right now.
I, I'm willing to wager. I have some friends that are absolutely certain they're on their podcast or on their
Yeah.
thing. Just
Yeah.
it's September, rates are coming down. Okay, we'll see.
Yeah. It's fine.
So let's talk about weekly unemployment. What did you see this week and your thoughts?
Yeah, weekly unemployment took a big jump this week. It came in at the highest September 2023. I think it came in at 243. Big jump from last week of 220 something.
Yep.
But let's not lose sight that last week was distorted because of 4th of July. So again, 243 would normally be concerning because again, it continues that stair step, 210, 220, 230, 240. I'm going to write this week off as a noisy number and look to next week. If next week we are once again in the 240s, the escalator continues to move up. But when you have a noisy number, so last week was dirty, this week is dirty. Let's see what happens next week.
Okay. We'll see you next week. We'll talk about it. Let's keep going. Retail sales. What did you see in retail sales?
Yeah, retail sales were expected to be down. They came in even, right, up or up 0. Again, but not down 0.3 as expected. The consumer is still spending. There is some data behind that. It's basically on necessities, right?
Okay.
Staples, they call it, versus discretionary. But again, the retail sales were stronger than expected. Again, if you have a stock market going up and retail sales this and that, can the Fed really cut in September? I don't know. I guess we're going to find out.
Very interesting. Let's talk about home builders and lumber. What's going on with home builders?
Yeah, home builders are really pulling back, both permits, groundbreaking, lots of stuff going on. This is now rippling through lumber, excuse me, shout out uneducated economist. He talked about the July contract that just expired, trading at a cash value of 418 per thousand. What does that mean to the average person? It means lumber's cheap. What does that mean to our economy? It means mills that produce lumber are not profitable. So there will be quote unquote curtailment. These are all words I've learned from the uneducated economist. They are not mine. He's the lumber expert. But lo and behold, it looks like supply of lumber should be going down with curtailment, which might be a huge problem come January next year if we get lower rates and we're starting feeling good about the economy. We're post-election. And lo and behold, the animal spirits come back at buying and suddenly lumber shoots up to, 1,400 per thousand. It could happen. But yeah, right now lumber is signaling that building is not going on in single family and multifamily.
Very interesting. So again, tight inventory, probably going to be very consistent going forward into the next 2025 and who knows beyond, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, very interesting. Let's finish strong. Let's talk about school, the school community. I'm excited. I'm proud to be a part of it. What happened this week with school and what's going on with your school community?
Yeah, we're over 190 folks now. I think last time I checked, 192. We got 8 more to get to 200. We just had Henry Washington on from Bigger Pockets fame. Just a great guy talking about how to find deals today, how to find money today. We had Lance Lambert last week talking all things data. We've got a weekly accountability call led by Frank, old guy REI. It's done 3 of them now. They're over 3 hours. We recorded the last 2. We will be posting those. It's all going the right direction. We are now a top 900 school. I just checked this morning. We're ranked 880. It is my expectation, my hope that we will be a top 100 school in very short order. How are we going to get there? More students, obviously, but more interaction.
Yep.
For me, I think it trips over at 200. People introduce themselves, they ask questions, and then the community will just just continue to build and continue to climb that. I want to see us as a top 100 school. I want to see us with 1,000 students. It's I think school will be one of those legacy things for me. I've told you since day one that I want to create something that's outlives me by 50 years. I think we get this school community going. We get more go-givers like yourself and Frank and all these other amazing folks. It will build on itself long after I'm gone. So it should be a lot of fun.
I love it. Folks, get involved with school. It's $20 a month. Try it on like a pair of shoes. Try it on, see if it fits. $20. Get involved with the community. There's so much great content in there. Even you mentioning Henry, I'm going to get in there and watch Henry this weekend. So great, Michael. Thank you for all that you do. Have a wonderful weekend.
Take care.